Welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is Season 2, Episode 14. With me, as always, the great one, Brandon Goebel from JUCO Advocates. You might know him from JA48, Verbal Commits, all the websites.
All the things. We do all the things.
All the things. Thank you so much for joining us. We had an amazing week of junior college basketball, and what an exciting week we have coming up this week.
Yeah. There were some big games last week that had a significant impact on kind of everybody's public perception, on maybe the committee's perception. They've got a big job ahead of them as they start to try and kind of figure out where they're going to go with these at-large bids, and teams are making their last battle cries here for, send me to Hutch. So it was a good one, and we got an even bigger one coming up.
And because you haven't brought it up already, shout out to our good friends at Dallas at Richland, right? I got rocking my Mobius, my Thunder Duck right here. I think it's a great way to start the day with my Thunder Duck on.
I'm ready to go.
Number one mascot in all of junior college basketball. All right, let's get right into the rewind. We start with Wednesday out in Kansas. Cali with a great victory, 81-65 over Butler. One of our triple dipper national players of the year, Jeff Nwankwo, proved that he is going for the Big Dipper. 37-7. Arzante Dallas was 17. Corey Thomas with 10-9. Butler was led by Caleb Washington with 19-9. Jeff Nwankwo trying to put his stamp. Triple dipper, national player of the year. Great.
Yeah, Jeff is out there, in this final big matchup here, saying like, hey, I want to be the single dipper.
Yeah. I feel like he was inspired. Right?
Yeah.
People took the news different ways. I feel like he was inspired and motivated.
Like he's the Southwestern egg rolls of the triple dipper. And he's, he's out there making a statement. But, the player that I kind of look to on that Cali team is having a significant impact going forward for them really is Corey Thomas. His defensive ability is something that just doesn't get heralded obviously as much as some other things, but he is a player. He can shoot it a little bit. Defensively, he's fantastic. He's kind of like that X factor for them, where you've got your star scoring, do everything guy, but you got Corey out there doing the dirty work, and he's going to have a lot to say about how they do the rest of the season.
Also, one thing about him, he is a sneaky good passer. He's thrown a couple of the best alley-oops I've seen all season. I believe Mr. Nichols is always the hammer to his hoop, and he's a good passer. We're going to go down to Region 14. We had a big one between Panola and Trinity Valley. Panola 102-71. Ahmad Bynum, 14 for Trinity Valley. As a team, 4 out of 23 from 3. Not great. Jonah Hinton for Panola with 33 points, 5 out of 8 from 3. Yafet Mundi, I know one of your favorite guys, 17-10. As a team, Panola hit 12 out of 24 from 3. The Panolas were really rocking on Wednesday night. And as a team, only 10 turnovers. So think about this, 102 points, 10 turnovers. That's offensive efficiency.
It's like Coach Tommy DeSalma came down to Panola for a day and taught him some things on the whiteboard. Jonah Hinton's recruitment has really started to blow up. So what's so cool about watching him just go off there on Trinity Valley is his recruitment has really blown up. He's gotten a whole bunch of offers lately. And then, of course, as, Division I coaches do, they all start lifting their heads up and saying, oh, who's that? Who's that guy? So there was absolutely a lot of people watching that game, and to watch him go off like that was super cool, because now I know his recruitment's going off into, the stratosphere. 12 out of 24 from 3. That's going to help. You don't need to rebound a lot when you shoot 50% from behind the arc. So, but big statement game for Panola too. They needed that one. That was an important win.
It gets them in the mix, brings them back into that at-large conversation, which is critical this time of year. Thursday night, we're going to go Whack-Jack Thursday. Clarendon secured an enormous win, 97-88 over New Mexico. The most important part of this game was that this locks in Clarendon into the number 2 seed in the West. So they are the West 2 in the Region 5 tournament. 5 New Mexico Thunderbirds, not to be fused with a Thunder Duck, were in double figures. Bear Cherry with 20 and 10. And Jet Quick Elijah Bailey with 19. For Clarendon, also 5 players in double figures. I feel like we're getting more balance from Hunter's squad. Leonard Johnson with 25, Cortez Johnson with 21 and 14, Jalen Booknight, maybe a late second half, like 6th man of the year, coming off the bench with 19, and Dior Johnson, one of our All-Americans, 18 points, 5 boards, 6 assists. I feel like if Clarendon could play the region tournament in the Thunderdome of Clarendon, they might be the favorite.
Yeah, I mean, that would God, could you imagine?
If they played in the house that Hunter built,
if they
Hunter
played in
hunts.
the House of Pain, Hell in a Cell. But yeah, look, if the season had 2 more weeks of regular season to it, I think Clarendon would be one of those teams that's putting themselves solidly into that at-large conversation. They're right there, you know. And if you were to really break it down and you were to say, look, I understand records and I understand everything else, but right now, who is one of the top teams that is probably deserving of being in that mix right now? Clarendon absolutely is. And they've just gotten better and better and better. And like you said, there's more balance there. They're not relying so much on one player. New Mexico is a very good team, so that was a big win. You know, if Clarendon can make a run to the finals of the tournament, or you know, whatever, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how people perceive them versus some of these other teams.
Clarendon surging. Our next team that we're going to talk about, South Plains, going the other direction with some late season struggles. Midland under coach Trey Arnold defeats South Plains and Levelland 70-69. Emilis Butkus with 23 points, hit 4 out of 10 threes. Jaden Kimpson, one of my favorite freshmen. I just like the way he looks on the court for Midland. 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. South Plains was led by Jabari McGee with 20 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. Malik Ewan, maybe an off day, a little bit of an off day for him. 6 points, 5 boards. As a team, South Plains really struggled to shoot from deep. This is something they're going to have to solve as they get into postseason play. Everybody just kind of packing it in, daring them to shoot from deep. 7 out of 31 from 3, only 22.6%. I tend to think that South Plains will be fine, but I know Coach Hayden Sowers can't be happy with how the last 2 weeks have transpired.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to be in that locker room after the game. And I probably wouldn't want to be in that locker room after the game, especially if I was Malik Ewan. Love Malik. He was one of our triple dipper player of the years. But you know, these are the kind of the moments where it's like, you know, could you say, does this game have a huge impact on us the rest of the season? No. You know, they've buttoned up the things that they need to button up. But you know, it's a bit like in the NBA where you're looking for like who's kind of ready to go, who's shown us that you're ready to go into these playoffs. And you know, that's not the normal Malik. I'm sure he's going to bounce right back and be back to his old self. But they need him. They need him to be strong and effective and hitting the glass and everything else. So, you know, great win for Midland. Kind of a head scratcher for South Plains, and I'm sure Hayden's gotten a lot of things worked on this week.
Speaking of hitting the glass, that's a perfect segue into our next game. Saturday afternoon, Salt Lake defeated CSI 87-65 to win the region tournament. For CSI, Jalen Johnson led the way with 21 points. As a team, they struggled from 3 out of 16. But my man on the glass, Xavier Edmonds, big time game on the boards, 18 points, 16 rebounds. Jordan Battle, JUCO Jam All-American, 15 points, 5 boards, 7 assists. Zayon Collins with 15, Preston Squire with 14, JUCO Jam All-American, CJ Luster with 13. Salt Lake out-rebounded the Golden Eagles 42-33. Salt Lake hit 13 out of 29 from 3, which is 45%, which is incredible. Salt Lake is a team I feel like that's just absolutely surging and on fire down the last month of the season. This is not a Bruins squad that anybody wants to see in Hutch.
No, they can get it done everywhere. They can get it done on the glass. They can get it done from behind the arc, as they just showed. When you out-rebound a team like that and you shoot like that, it's going to be a 20-point win. And sure enough, you know, CSI just wasn't able to.
And they have ball handlers everywhere. I mean, they have like 3 guys who would be point guards on just about every top 10 roster in the country. and they throw three of those guys out at the same time. I mean, they're a matchup nightmare.
I mean, CJ Luster is one of the most prolific scorers in junior college basketball, and he was what, fifth on
Yeah.
the stat sheet that night. So and still with 13, right? So yeah, no, it's a bit like a Bruin avalanche coming down there out of the mountains in Salt Lake on that one. So not a team that anybody wants to face. And what's funny is we've gone through these, and we're looking at South Plains, and we're looking at Salt Lake, and we're looking at Cowley, like there's so many teams that you could just circle and say they can win it, they can win it, they can win it. We've talked about four of them right now, and we're about to go on to another one.
Absolutely. In Ottumwa, tropical Ottumwa this time of year, Indian Hills with a big 76-68 win over Southeastern, their rivals. For the Blackhawks, they had four players in double figures. Elijah Ibrahim was 16-9. I thought he was really good. The difference in the game, two things. Indian Hills hit 17 out of 18 from the free throw line, and they had only 10 turnovers. Braden Sparks was nothing short of exceptional. 27 points, hit 3 out of 4 from 3, hit all 8 of his free throws. TJ Morris and Kenai Briggs, the Kannapolis kid, with 11. Very balanced attack, and Indian Hills is doing this without JUCO Jam All-American, unanimous JUCO Jam All-American, Travion LeBeau. This was a really big statement win for the Warriors because I thought the Blackhawks saved their best for the final week of the season. This is a good win for Indian Hills that some people may not understand how hard it is to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah, and to beat your biggest rival 3 times as well. I mean, this is Duke, North Carolina, and one of those teams winning all 3 of them. Southeastern not having maybe necessarily the season they want to have, but it doesn't matter. In these rivalry games, you could have a team be number 1 in the country and another team just falling apart on the season, and it's still always going to be a tough fight. What's interesting about this one is Indian Hills. We've always got the cliche like, pulling it together at the right time, but the way that they're pulling it together at the right time, I think is super important. Guards win Hutch, and their guard play has been exceptional lately. And guys that have been good or improving or whatever are really, really stepping up. TJ Morris, has been kind of a little bit up and down earlier on in the season, is really putting it together at the right time. So now you're going to have this whole like army of Indian Hills guards that you weren't quite sure who was going to be the guy to step up coming to this point. Well, now they all are. Add that to the fact that they do still have length at the forward position. They have a prolific rebounder and defender in Chris Mpaka. You're not quite sure what you're going to get out of the 4 spot right now because of who's going to be healthy and whatnot with Trevion. But, William on any given night can just be all over the place and cause havoc. So,
it might be exactly what he needs.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you have to be forced into a moment where there's no option but to step up for your team to win. And he's skilled enough, good enough to do it. And there's no reason why he will not be an All-American next year as we project ahead. Fantastic game in Missouri Saturday night. Moberly wasn't as close as the final score appears. Moberly led throughout. Mineral Area makes a late surge to get it close. Moberly wins 75-71. I would love to rattle you off some really impressive stats, but I don't have any. Stats not available. But I watched the game. My eye test says that Takeo Carpenter was really, really good. Achille Evans is a matchup nightmare who looks like the hybrid of a little bit of Sean Marion, a little bit of Tayshaun Prince. It all kind of looks a little odd and awkward, but it works. And Freddie Cooper playing really well. Xavier Sykes, like Moberly beats Mineral twice in a row. It's kind of like Pat Smith kind of figured a little something out there. And I know Coach Heyer could not have been happy by the way that they played. They never really attacked Moberly's zone. They kind of just played side to side, east-west all night. Never got into that aggressive north-south type of deal. I think Mineral's in. I think they're an at-large team, but it's just going to depend on what else happens around them. Regardless, Moberly going to Mineral Area and getting this win, very tough, impressive win by Moberly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think Mineral is in, but like you, I say I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Subject to change.
we've seen in the past that one of the teams that kind of doesn't maybe get the benefit of the doubt because of conference or whatever, Mineral area, being left out a few times under Coach Strege. So um,
They would certainly be the only team I think that would be in consideration for an at-large that has a loss against a Division II school.
this is true. Yeah, that one's a little bit of a statement.
That was a head scratcher.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't. It's hard to take a 32 game sample size and focus on one game. But I think they're 6-1 versus Division II, right? So when it gets really really close down the stretch, and you're like, well, they played 7 games against Division II schools.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're in.
This is why the committee has the push pins and the yarn, and
A lot of yarn.
They've got
this time of year.
bagels and mini muffins and carafes of orange juice.
Yeah, you got to stay hydrated. You got to have your carbs. You can't crash.
No.
You can't crash. And speaking of not crashing, Triton, 93-75, playing the game as the number 1 seed at Highland, which I'll never understand that for the life of me, how Highland continues to get to host this tournament as not the number 1 seed. I mean, what a disadvantage. But Amar Aguilar, JUCO Jam All-American, didn't care. He dropped 30. Dylan Williams with 18, AJ Dixon with 15. And while not an official member of the firm, Tolu Samuels raised his hand and said, please consider me, with 15 points and 17 rebounds. The big man,
like a paralegal
big game when they needed it the most.
Yeah, he's like a paralegal at the firm.
Yeah.
Incredibly
valued
member of the firm. And look, if Chili's were to just like blow our mind and come out with a quadruple dipper, Amar was probably in that conversation for, who's the mozzarella cheese stick that gets added on to the potato skins and the Southwestern egg rolls and the whatnot. So, heck of a player, my goodness. And we've talked about all season that when you get to Hutch, you don't want to have a team that has 4 guys killing you from everywhere. Well, here they are, the firm. We will get to see them in Hutch, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
They will definitely be there. That concludes the rewind. We're going to transition right into the rundown. And this year, we're going to do a district preview because we want to do a district preview.
We do what we want.
And we're going to do them in alphabetical order by the name of the district. All right. So we're going to start in the Appalachian district, which is Region 7. Those games are being played at Motlow State.
Yep.
We are, as we record this, 37 minutes away from Walters State tipping off against Columbia State, the Fighting Winston Neals. Any thoughts on Tennessee?
Man,
love the barbecue.
Great barbecue.
Tennessee, home of the Cracker Barrel.
It is also that. Hey, look, all over the NJCAA, there are teams scattered around these regions that you just don't get to hear a lot about, throughout the season that will jump up and bite you in the butt. Because they're teams that you don't know a lot about the guys, you don't know a lot about the style of play, and they are teams that, this is their Super Bowl, right? Like this is.
And there's going to be somebody new from Tennessee this year. I think Roane State has been the last 2 years. Roane State got beat upset by Southwest Tennessee, I think by a 36 spot on Saturday. So we're going to have, somebody a little bit new coming out to Hutch this year. I'm excited to see what's happened. The Tennessee schools have not fared well at Hutch. Let's just say it, right? The results on the court in the modern area of JUCO basketball, they've not done well. Only in the sense of wins and losses. The Tennessee teams have gone out there and they have competed their hearts out, and they have caused massive headaches for other teams that thought they were going to get a real sleepy 9-24 win.
Right.
Whoever that Tennessee winner is going to grind you, and you're going to have to work for it. we're just going to transition right to the Atlantic, because why not? Those games are taking place in Hickory, North Carolina, at Catawba Valley Community College. I think we all thought Caldwell Tech was going to sleepwalk through this thing, right? And then Caldwell Tech, the Cobras, and I have someone on the inside who tells me there are no actual Cobras in the area, but the Cobras have lost 2 in a row. So it's wide open. Last year, Cape Fear, lower seeded team comes through and wins the region. Wouldn't surprise me here if maybe we have a Spartanburg Methodist join us in Hutchinson this year.
Yeah. Everybody makes the tournament, I believe, right? In Region 10?
I believe so.
Yeah. Watch out for Salkehatchie. Watch out for USC Salkehatchie. They're playing well at the right time.
Just beat Caldwell Tech.
They just smacked the face off of Caldwell Tech. And
I mean,
of course,
if they win the tournament, will their administration even let them go?
and Brunswick, always tough, so
there's been times when they've had 7 awesome dudes on a roster at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's open.
It's wide open. Probably one of the most wide open district tournaments out of the whole thing, honestly. Where you can circle 4 of them and say, yeah, any one of you guys.
So here's where my first upset's going to take place, Beachy. I'm calling it right now. Central District, Region 24. These games are played at Wren Lake in Ina, Illinois, Division II school. Vincennes is the only school in that tournament who does not play Wren Lake because Wren Lake will not play them. I don't know that Vincennes would want to play them as a Division II school. So regardless, Vincennes will not win this tournament. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay. Maybe
the first big upset.
Todd, you can reach Nick at.
I think there'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if Logan wins it. I could see a little Smith Peters magic dust that comes out this time of year. And Olney Central has a couple of really, really good players. I mean, I think they only have 8 players on the roster now. It's a short roster. And then you got Shawnee under Coach John Sparks, who's a really, really good coach. They're small and feisty, and they play a little 1-3-1 zone and some man. They play really hard. So I think this is going to be a region. Look for an upset here. It's a weird format. It's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday at a dedicated location. So it's a really hard setup. Most of the schools are really close. Vincennes, it's like a 110-mile trip. So, if they did get to the championship game, it's like 660 miles and back and forth.
I was going to say, they go back home every night.
You have to. Yeah, you would have to. So I don't like these dedicated location sites unless you play them Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? Give the people a chance to get a hotel, hang out in beautiful Ina, Illinois. They have a beautiful lake there. I don't like when it gets spread out like that. I think it's really hard for the teams that aren't geographically present.
I'm not going to make a pick. I'm just going to let you wax nostalgia on Region 24 and we can move on to the next one.
We'll transition to the East. And one of my favorite junior colleges in the country is going to be played at Allegheny in Cumberland, Maryland. And I've been to Cumberland, Maryland when this place was just rocking and rolling, when they had more fans there that could possibly been allowed under any sort of fire code. So, they have a history of filling that place up. I don't know who's going to win that. Allegheny, Harcum, Monroe, probably one of those 3. But Cumberland, Maryland's a beautiful place.
I think Harcum wins this one. I think.
So you're telling me that if Harcum and Monroe play
Harcum
for the 3rd time this season, you think Harcum gets them 3 times?
I think John Ball wants. I mean, I'm not saying that Monroe doesn't want it, but John Ball's got them playing really well. They've got some really, really good young guys on that roster, and I think John Ball gets it done.
Also, one of the most underrated mascots is the Harcum Bears, because that's like a really vicious bear
in Philadelphia.
In the streets of Philadelphia,
800 students.
Nice community. Going to the Gulf, These games are going to be played at Mississippi College in Clinton, Mississippi. Mississippi probably as wide open as any of these districts. I believe Northeast Mississippi, Cord Wright, friend of the show. I believe that they are, the number one seed, but throw out records.
Coin flips all over the place here.
Yeah, I mean we had Meridian last year, so it could be anything that happens there. Now let's we have a big one in the Midwest, so this is going to be Moberly traveling to Triton Saturday night on my birthday. I'm going to throw a scenario.
What a birthday gift for you.
How about that? I know, it's beautiful. Triton wins this game, all right, but it's a close game.
Is there anybody that is a very good team that is in a tougher position than Moberly going to Triton this year? I mean, maybe North Dakota Science is going to Indian Hills, I guess, but
that's an international trip. That's different. That's a completely different deal.
It's a whole different deal. I mean, you got to get on the 787. You
have to have a passport.
You have to have a passport to get to Ottumwa.
That is such a long trip. Okay, so let's say I'm going to give you a theoretical. Let's say that Triton wins this in a close game. The firm puts up 84 points. Triton wins 97-93. One final at-large spot between Moberly and Mineral Area. Moberly has defeated Mineral Area the last two. What are your thoughts on this?
You can reach Nick Nielsen at the Nielsen file.
Let's talk about Region 14. Mid-South, Region 14, championship game also on Saturday. One of these things, I don't like it. I'm just going to come out and say I don't like it. The games are going to be played at Tyler Junior College, wonderful facility. But this is why so many upsets happen. Why are we doing this? Why can't we just have the higher seeded team host all the way throughout? Why are we bringing people to a dedicated location and putting teams that have earned it all year long at a disadvantage?
Because in some of these locations, could you imagine if Clarendon were the number one seed in the host of the Whack-Jack tournament? Where are they going to stay?
Yeah, but this is a
Hunter's house.
This is one Hunter, bring them all in, Hunter. These are teams that played each other all season long, right? I just feel like Tyler, I don't know where they're at. Tyler is probably, I don't know, a fifth seed, something in that range. They play Paris tomorrow. Why should Lee or Panola have to play a potential true road game?
I think it's because the storage closet at the Piggly Wiggly is probably the most available place for people to stay in some of those times.
Well, I don't know that you'd even have to stay, right? I mean, you go back and forth all season long to play these conference games. I'm just saying. I don't know. I feel like it's a disadvantage. I feel like you either let the number one seeded team host, or you do home and you just play on the home court of whoever has the top seed. I don't like the idea of a 2 seed who's earned it throughout the regular season plays a 5 or 6 seed on a true road game. I digress. North Central, Tropical Ottumwa be the warmest game that North Dakota State College of Science plays all year. Calvin Sisk, 7'2", monster of a man, double machine.
Do they need a translator when they go to Iowa? There's a team translator.
It's like a 14-hour bus ride.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually am able to travel to Nigeria when we do our camp there in a shorter amount of time than it is for them to get to Ottumwa, Iowa.
It's unbelievable.
Denver to Lagos is a shorter travel schedule.
Yeah. And it's not like we're asking them to go to Florida Southwestern, which I don't even know that Google Maps can even calculate that distance. But I mean, this is an enormous ask, right, for NDSCS to go down to Ottumwa, and it's not one-sided, right? It flip-flops every year, right? So the Iowa winner goes up to the Mondac winner next year. So It's hard to win on the road anyways.
Yeah.
It's really hard to win after a trip like
I
this.
think some of these districts, these tournaments, these are tough. These combo things. We'll talk about another one that's a little goofy later on. But, we get that 32 team tournament. I'm just saying there could be some adjustment to these districts that get some automatics in there.
Maybe there's a home. Now, this is one of the more fascinating districts in the country, the Northwest Plains,
Mm-hmm.
which you're very familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not
Western,
sure how we got the title of Northwest Plains, but sure.
we can work on renaming this. Um, so this is Region 9, which encapsulates a large swath of land.
Yeah.
Probably more acreage maybe in this region than anywhere else in the country. Being hosted by Western Nebraska. Now, if we're going to do this format, I like the format that we have here. This is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I approve of that format if that's how we're going to do this. Does Gillette, after a hiatus from the NJCAA, do they go to Hutch in year one back?
I believe they're allowed to, for one. I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe that was resolved because we weren't sure at first. They're going to be tough. Casper is playing very, very well right now. They are scoring the heck out of the ball and have one of the best guards in the country in Darius Robinson, which is super helpful this time of year. Trinidad State, also another one that has a really good shot at it, and obviously Western Nebraska has been playing fantastic. I've been to this tournament a lot, in some interesting places, and Western Nebraska is honestly one of the better locations to host it. Scottsbluff is cool little town, cool little JUCO town. They've got a great arena out there.
Is there a Bobby Jackson statue? I've never been to Western Nebraska. Do they?
I don't.
Are they doing anything to pay homage to one Bobby Jackson, who I saw play in the national tournament at Hutch?
The last time I was at Western Nebraska was after a 3-hour car ride with Heath Schroyer to see Drew Cuxhausen play, and Heath looked at me. Here's a little behind the scenes for you guys.
Did he have a bib? Did he have the bib?
We went to some like steak place that definitely used to be a Shoney's or something, and he was just so jacked up about how like fun this was for him. I'm like, what is going on? And so we go to the game, and he looks at me before the game, and I'm sure most of you have at least seen Heath Schroyer. We call him Schroyer the Destroyer. A friend of the show has been on here before, and he looked at me and said, "That was a long car ride, and we have a long car ride back. You better hope he plays well." And I was like, "Good talk." And fortunately, Drew stepped out that day, and I think went 8 of 9 from 3.
I was going to say one of the best shooters in the last decade in junior college.
Yeah, sorry to side rail there, but fun story. Heath Schroyer threatening your life.
Big man in McNeese State. Great season.
Pretty good. Pretty good AD out there.
Knows what he's doing. In the Plains, just regular Plains, Brandon. Region 6, Hutchinson. I can't confirm this, but I have been told by reliable sources this is the first time that Hutchinson has actually hosted the region tournament, which is a new vibe.
How's that possible?
That's what I thought, but that's what I was told. At least let's safely say the modern JUCO era. I think the state of Kansas gets 3. I think Barton, Cali, and Hutch all get in if one of those 3 wins the tournament. Any strong feelings there, Mr. Goebel?
Man, there's so many freaking good teams, and they've all just beaten the heck out of each other.
Kyle Fisher loves March too, man. He loves March.
Like
he might rally the troops, and Butler might win this thing again.
Yeah.
That's what Kyle Fisher does.
If there's a bunch of teams in here where
Great
if you came out and won the thing, would you go, man, that's shocking? There's not too many like, man, that's shocking ones.
I mean, do you want to bet against a Jay Herkelman at Coffeyville? I mean, I wouldn't be completely surprised by that. I mean, good teams, good coaches, quality players. Our first team that's punched a ticket, and the only team that's punched a ticket at this point, comes from the South. District, Region 22. That's Wallace State, 25-8. Glad to see them at the national tournament. South Atlantic, this will probably be the most intense of all the regions. This is Region 8 if you're scoring at home, Brandon. Niceville, Florida at Northwest Florida College. This is one that the selection committee will have to be paying close attention to. Memory serving correct, we have Eastern Florida as the 1 seed playing Tallahassee. 2 seed, we have Daytona. No, I've already messed up. Eastern Florida is the 1 seed playing 8 seeded Hillsboro. 2 seeded Daytona will play 7 seeded Tallahassee. And then in the 3-6 game, you're going to have Chipola and Indian River. Mind blown that that's a 3-6. And 4-5, Northwest Florida and Florida Southwestern. I mean,
this is going to get silly. What day does this start?
This is it starts Wednesday. We're going to go Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to have an off day. Maybe everybody goes to the beach, hangs out all together.
Or Chili's. They might go to Chili's. You get the first win. You get Chili's.
Yeah. I'm sure they all hang out together. Maybe play some.
This is going to get silly. This whole thing is honestly going to get silly, all of Region 8, because there's going to be a couple teams that are sitting there going, wait a minute. Like this other team that, got an at-large bid, like we might be favored by 10 points over them at a neutral site, and we don't get to go. And unfortunately, that's just how it is.
I'm going to ask you 2 pointed questions. Are you willing to put your neck out on the limb and pick a winner of the state tournament? And question 2, the follow-up, is there any team that's built up a strong enough resume that could survive an opening round loss in the quarters and still get an at-large bid?
No. On to the last one.
No to both.
And also no to both. I don't think so. I mean, you never know with the committee because it's different than the rankings voters, and they very much do not come in sync in a lot of ways every year. So, there might be somebody sitting there saying, "Look, I know Eastern Florida is further back, but for me, they're a top 6 or 7 team." Like, I have no idea. But I sure would recommend winning your first game if you want to have.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can survive it. I think it's too close this year.
Yeah.
I think we're splitting hairs on all of them. I could go out and I could make a great public decree of why I think each one of those 4 teams should get an at-large bid, and I could also make a great case against why they should not.
I mean, you've even got a team like Indian River that, unfortunately their non-conference schedule wasn't super strong, so they're maybe not getting as much love as they should, given the amount of talent that they have on their team. And that's a team that could lose the first game, they could win Region 8, and they could also go to like the Elite 8 at Hutch.
So I'm going to make a bold prediction here, Brandon, because I like bold predictions.
Of course you do.
I believe that Florida Southwest will win the state tournament.
Yeah.
And they will harness that momentum, and they will go and win the national tournament as well.
I'll give Coach Murphy your address for the thank you.
I'm kind of liking how this purple looks on me a little bit. And I was just trying to see if Coach Murphy could send me something in a Florida Southwest Bucks purple.
It's teal and purple. It's like 90s nostalgia, like straight into my veins.
I know. Does that come in a starter warm-up jacket?
Oh God. Like the Charlotte Hornets of old.
I know. Coach Murph, if you're listening, I'm a lark. We're going to transition to the Southeast region, which is Region 17.
Coin flips. Pew, 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 pew.
And if you're guessing at home, so are we. It's Georgia, the state of Georgia. Whoever wins this, I feel that they will probably be the 24 seed. It's been a really tough year for the teams in the state of Georgia. There's talent there. There's good players there. There's good coaches there. And I'm sure this will be a hotly contested tournament. Albany Tech is the team that's kind of been ranked receiving votes throughout the course of the year. I would imagine they would be deemed the favorite.
Yeah.
Outside of the Southeast, we're going to go to the other side of the world, the Southwest.
Are you just skipping South Central just because you got a problem with Oklahoma? Are we?
I do have a problem with Oklahoma, Brandon. I do. I do. So this is going to be played in Muskogee. I said Muskogee. Um, I would imagine this is going to be an NEO versus Connor State showdown, round 3.
Yeah.
NEO has lost 4 games this season, 3 of which might be against top 10, top 15 caliber teams. Hutch, Barton, Connor State. Coach Johnson. Oh my goodness. Jeremy Jackson. Sorry, the double J's alliteration got me. Fantastic coach. I think he's one of the most underrated coaches in junior college basketball. They have guards galore. That zone is a problem. Connor State is so darn talented, man.
Yeah, Braden Hubbard. Braden Hubbard is as deserving of all the accolades.
All the accolades.
All the accolades.
That all the accolades.
Schedule again. Got Connors. So kind of a team that is going to have to win the tournament to get in, but it's a team that if they had a non-conference schedule and done what I think they would have done in it, we're probably talking about a top 10 team anyways.
Yes, they would be locked up, I think, for them if they played a normal schedule. And one of my favorite freshmen in the country, Buddy Hammer Jr., 6'6" power forward center who is phenomenal. Going back to Braden Hubbard real quick, and I was thinking about this the other night. How many kind of wing post guys are getting 10-plus rebounds a game and also shooting better than 85% from the free throw line?
We know you love your free throws.
And I'm going to have something that you're going to love in the 6th man.
Oh, boy.
All right, now let's talk Southwest, if we shall.
Okay.
Geographically closer to Oklahoma, Region 5. I feel South Plains, hard to keep them focused maybe all year. They've been ranked number 1, number 2 all season long. They've heard about how great they are. I bet this is the wake-up call before the surge. Super talented squad. It's just hard to it's a long season, jamborees, 5 months of basketball. I wonder if this is the lull and maybe the sleeping giant has been awakened.
If you're gonna be the number 1 or 2 team all season, and I guess if there's a silver lining to take out of that loss, it's like they can kind of put this chip on their shoulder now. Like, Stanton Kidd texted me after that game, former South Plains great, part of that undefeated national championship team, and said, I knew they weren't as good as our team. And, there's your chip, right? Like, fine. Well, everybody doesn't believe in us now because we lost a couple games. You know how we do in sports. We just make up reasons to be offended. And so, grab that, take that energy, go out there and get after it, because they absolutely can win a national championship, but they're going to have to play a lot better than they did against Midland. That's for sure.
Yep. West Coast, Salt Lake is going to travel to parts unknown in Arizona, which will be decided by the time this airs. Eastern Arizona versus Cochise, who has Riley Parker, who's one of the best free throw shooters. He's had a little bit of a sophomore slump, only shooting 80.4% from the free throw line as we record this today. I know this is a region that you would love to see just give Region 1 a straight shot into the national tournament. Let Region 18 do their own thing. It's a long trip. I would imagine that South Plains is not taking a bus for this trip. But this will be a good game. Eastern Arizona is a good team, and they're a team that could win a game or two at Hutch if they got there.
Yeah, Slick is. I don't know how far that bus ride from Salt Lake is, but it's well, no, they're flying. You're right, they're gonna fly.
It's about an hour, 15-minute flight, probably.
yeah, they're gonna fly. They're gonna fly. I mean, it will already be decided by the time this airs between Eastern and Cochise. That's going to be a good one. Cameron Turner was a Region 1 Coach of the Year. They've got Rayshawn Seamster. They've got kind of some scoring from all over the place. They've got length and size, and that's even without Anton, who left early to go to Providence. So it should be a tough game. As we talked about, Salt Lake is playing out of their minds right now. Exciting news, though, is that Region 1 is going to have 7 Division 1 teams next year.
Yes.
So
it definitely affects
vote,
Region 18, that's for sure.
Yeah, that vote went down and got all buttoned up and taken care of. So maybe making an argument for maybe we will at some point here see more of an automatic for Region 1. I don't know. 32 team tournament, not in question. Region 1 gets an automatic, but that's just me. So
this concludes our district preview. When we return, we're going to have a really cool 6-man. Stay with us.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is our final closing thoughts that we call the 6th man. And I will just tell you, next week, we're going to do the national tournament preview. We're going to preview all of the games happening at Hutch. And then we'll talk about who got snubbed, who got a great draw, all the fun things that I know that you're probably thinking about at home. But I saw something, Brandon. I'm a free throw guy, right? We've mentioned that. I like the free throws. That's my level of basketball efficiency. I know you're a dunk guy. You are a jam guy. That's with your stature. You spent a lot of time on the rim in your lifetime. And after all, this is JUCO Jam. This is not JUCO free throw. I saw a stat. So think NBA. Mm-hmm. Most dunks of all time in an NBA game by people 6'4" and under. Mm-hmm. Top 5, all right, 6'4" and under. Mm-hmm. 2 of the top 5 are JUCO players.
What?
Yeah. So if you want to look for elite athletes 6'4" and under who can dunk the ball at the highest level, you need to get your JUCO on.
Steve
now,
Francis?
I'm going to warm you up a little bit. Number 1, Dwayne Wade. Number 2, Russell Westbrook. Number 3, Bradley Beal. Now, you got number 4, Steve Francis, who played at both San Jacinto and Allegheny. Number 5, spent 2 years in JUCO before going to the Big 12. He played in Kansas, and then he transferred to another junior college, and he attended that junior college the year after they won a national championship. Do you know who this mythical JUCO legend is? And he is one person that I love to use in player comps.
Oh gosh.
You'll be harassed forever because this is not coming to the top of your.
It's not. I don't have the names on the.
All right. It's hard, right? Because you're thinking okay, we have the NBA world. We have JUCO guys that played in the NBA. We need JUCO guys that were under 6'4" and JUCO guys who dunk. Steve Francis, the obvious one.
Yep.
Tony Allen.
Wow.
Tony Allen. 297 dunks for Tony Allen.
You know, the other thing, I couldn't remember how tall people are. That's the other issue.
I assumed Dwayne Wade was taller than 6'4". That was my initial thought. But yeah, combined Steve Francis and Tony Allen have 599 dunks.
I'll be
Mike,
dang.
can we bring back the franchise? Let's get one more dunk. Let's bring that JUCO total to 600. I know the franchise can still do it.
I'm sure he can. I'm sure he could just throw on the sweats and walk out and just hammer one down right now.
Tony Allen, I was in college when Tony Allen played at Wabash Valley. And he was one of the most fun-loving people I've ever been around in my entire life, because I saw people on baseball teams just talking trash like you would not believe, only at the JUCO level, right? Right on the floor, people losing their minds. This is back when all the gyms were full. And Tony Allen was just so fun and jovial, and he was just a joy to be around. So I'm so excited that he went on. He had a great career at Oklahoma State, was in the NBA for a long time, and that's a cool junior college story. But to think two of the top 5, 6, 400 dunkers at all time got their first dunks in junior college.
JUCO Jam, baby.
JUCO Jam. Brandon, awesome show as always. I can't wait till next week. We do the preview of the national tournament.
Woo!
And before that releases, we are going to have some live thoughts this weekend on the 17th when the selection show is presented. We're going to have some thoughts during the selection show, getting our reactions, first look, right after everything is released. So looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to another great show next week. Have a great week, Brandon. Enjoy all the games.
See you then, bud.